Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to another PalaView Market Research video. Today at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the Federal Reserve will be announcing an interest rate decision. So, for our video today, I'm going to be discussing the state of the economy at large, because we are entering a somewhat eerie and unpredictable period between now and, say, February or March 2025. For context, 12 days ago, on September 6th, the inverted yield curve flipped back to being positive. On this channel, we have covered in the past how this event typically indicates that a recession is imminently underway. Typically with an 80-90% confidence rating, because the last 4 or 5 recessions has been directly caused by this exact event. So how did it become inverted in the first place? Well, the Federal Reserve, as you know, raised short-term rates extremely aggressively from 0.5% and hiking it all the way to 5.5% in an attempt to combat inflation. That is what led to this record long inversion. But now, Powell and the Fed are beginning to slowly cut rates again, and the people in the know seem to be signaling that another rate cut of about a quarter point or so is likely to happen later today. So why are they cutting rates? Well, they typically do this in response to a slowdown in the economy. But hasn't the current administration been raving about the current state of the economy? Equities are reaching all-time highs, unemployment rates are at a supposedly healthy 4.2%, and GDP growth, I guess, is close to 3%. But what is driving this productivity? The reality is, it's government spending and the war in Ukraine. So we're in a strange position because if we pull out of the war or slow down adding to our deficit, our economy will weaken quite substantially in every single context. But it's important to reemphasize that we are still confusing and conflating asset inflation with asset appreciation. The United States government since 2008 has basically price fixed all markets. Instead of allowing prices to fall in real estate and equities in the short and medium term, they simply debase the dollar against the value of the equity itself, creating only the perception of growth for many equities in the stock market at large. The longer they do this, the more difficult it has become to measure growth in real terms. Do any of you believe the American economy is more robust today than it was in 2019? Genuine question. Because according to the S&P, since September 2019, the 500 largest businesses in America in aggregate have grown 88%. I do believe we have grown, but I am in the camp that is probably closer, when adjusted for inflation, around 45 to 50% at best. Though, at the end of the day, the Fed is in an undeniably difficult situation. They need to keep inflation under control, ideally around that 2% goal that they set for themselves, while making sure the economy is growing in real terms, because deficits are increasing, because government spending is really about to start increasing, more than people are currently privy to understanding. I mean, look at this chart. The only good news here is that this will cause a massive liquidity injection by the Fed, and when the Fed does that, it tends to be a great news for Bitcoin. So again, the Fed needs to get ahead of this because they are seeing that the latest unemployment data isn't great, and there are very strong indications that our manufacturing sector is facing some serious headwinds as well. But Jamie Dimon, a man I will never claim to understand the economy better than, right now he claims that concerning levels of inflation, for the most part, are likely behind us, and that our greatest risk today is stagflation. And stagflation is effectively the combination of inflation with high unemployment and very slow economic growth. There is this metaphor that Dimon keeps using regarding whether or not we will have a hard or a soft landing. Meaning, when we are in moments like these, when we are struggling with high inflation, we need to avoid sharp increases in unemployment, significant contractions in GDP, and of course, overly painful recessions. This rate cut today could contribute to higher unemployment rates. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there are a lot of folks who are hurting who are playing it cool. I mean, maybe this is a bullshit anecdote, but have you guys been noticing your favorite music artists begin to run Instagram ads promoting their tours and music and albums and stuff? I personally don't remember them doing that ever. And of course, if the economy isn't doing great, people spend less money on things like entertainment and going to concerts, which obviously makes sense. But the main market you guys need to be tracking is the bond market. That is likely what will cause our next recession, when demand for bonds falls precipitously. This happens when there are strong indications of stagnation, continued inflation concerns relative to where interest rates are, contractions in credit quality, which has been linearly becoming worse and worse since COVID-19 stimulus checks, by the way, and last of all, increased volatility. And as you guys saw not too long ago, we just had one of the craziest VIX spikes in history. So honestly, now is probably just another good time to just start buying Bitcoin. But that isn't financial advice. The last thing I do on this channel is give financial advice. I only offer the best wealth creation education in the world. And you know it's true because it rhymes. Peace and victory forever, gentlemen. I'll see you tomorrow.